Hey everyone, welcome back, and let's quickly talk about using environment variables in SvelteKit. And there are really three groups. We have dynamic, static, and we can also use Vite. Now, if you want to use Vite, just know that if you do expose something sensitive to the front end, you're not going to get any errors. So there's a lot of safeguards when we use it, the first class way in SvelteKit, but it's possible. So it's good to know. So this is how you're going to use that environment variable. And the only thing you really need to know here is that you need to prefix it with Vite. Now, I don't recommend this way, but just know that this is available to you and there's maybe some, circumstances that call for this. So just keep that in mind. Now, let's go ahead and hop into, how SvelteKit is going to handle environment variables. And the first one is the dynamic path. Okay, so the docs read, this module provides access to runtime environment variables as defined by the platform you're running on. So I necessarily, haven't used dynamic environment variables, but just know that this is available to you. And we're not going to cover any examples here because mostly you're going to want to be using static environment variables. This is kind of what's most common here. And we have two types. We have public and private, obviously. And if we just go ahead and hop into our example here, you're going to see that we have an environment variable message and the value is just hello. We're keeping it as basic as possible. Okay. Now we're in a pluspage.server.ts file, and I have a whole separate video if you want to kind of go through all of the file types in SvelteKit. And so if you are familiar with those file types, you're going to completely understand this. And we're inside a nice and easy load function. We're doing basically absolutely nothing. We're focusing in on those environment variables. And what you need to know is that if you do not prefix these environment variables as public, then by default, they're private. You can go ahead and type private in front, secret in front. It doesn't matter. If you do not prefix with public, then it's going to be considered private, which is great. Okay. And so here we are. Let me go ahead and just save, and great. We're accessing that environment variable and we're just printing it out. Okay. But what happens if I go ahead and let me just kind of take off server here. So it's just going to be a pluspage.ts file. You're going to see we indeed get an error, and that's going to read, cannot import, a private variable to the client side. And so that's looking good. That's exactly what we would expect. And so for us to use this, we're going to have to call it public, just like this. Okay, I'm going to have to update this name to public. Okay, and I'm also going to do the same thing here. Oops, perfect. Here we are. And I got to change this part, right? That's kind of the important part. All right, so now that we have this, we are all set again. So remember, the major takeaway here is that when we're using, SvelteKit modules to work with environment variables and not Vite, we're going to get those safety messages, which is awesome. It's just guardrails for us at the end of the day. And also, we need to prefix public environment variables with public in the name. So I hope that you got something out of this video. If you did, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.